Okay, I was coming in here to shoot a video on another topic, which I'll do afterwards, and I made the big mistake of checking messages before walking into this office, and I got the fifth in just 2 days of people saying, I've got a client acquisition problem. And this frustrates me all the time because everyone says they've got a customer acquisition problem. Whether you're an agency or a Fortune 500 company, everybody's always after more customers. They're always after this, and for some reason, they're always perplexed as to why they're not getting them. So I'm going to sit here with my latte and do a little consulting for you. Granted, it's going to be a little tricky because I can't hear your responses, but I'm going to share with you how I go through a consulting project where we're diagnosing client acquisition. You take the lesson and apply it to your business. Be as objective as possible with the questions I'm about to ask. Cool? Let's check it. The first thing we start off with is revenue. Are you hitting your revenue targets? That's the first thing we have to ask. So you tell me your goal is $1 million in revenue. So then I'm gonna ask you, can you achieve that with 10 to 12 clients? If you cannot achieve $1 million in revenue with 10 to 12 clients and you're an agency, then I'm gonna tell you, well, you're not charging enough. You've got to fix that issue of charge more money so that you can actually hit your revenue targets. 10 to 12 clients is what a small agency should be carrying. If you've got a small team, then you shouldn't have more than 10 to 12 clients. Therefore, you have to charge a significant sum of money to be able to hit your targets. Now, there's a counter to this. If you have a strong methodology that you can apply over and over again, kind of like a productized service, and you can do that for, say, half the cost or a quarter of the cost, then you are going after more clients. So if you can cut the costs down to a quarter of, say, $100,000 to be able to hit your $1 million target, right? So then that means you need 4 times the number of clients. So instead of 10 to 12, you're gonna need 40 to 48. Then you compare where you're at to that number of clients. So then your client acquisition problem has a defined number. Most people who tell me they have a client acquisition problem don't know their revenue targets very well. They don't know their margins and their pricing very well. And then they also don't know the exact number of clients they need to achieve that. So if you go into the world not knowing where you're going, you're gonna struggle to get there. So if we know we need 48 clients to achieve our $1 million target, then we can build everything that's coming next off of that. But if you follow my little hinges swing big doors model, then you should be able to do 10 to 12 clients and hit $1 million in revenue, and then possibly $10 million in revenue, even with just 10 to 12 clients. It is quite possible to always keep that kind of business model. But if you want to go after hundreds, if not thousands of clients, that's a possibility too. But you're going to struggle in certain other elements. So let's get into the next part of diagnosis. Leads. Seriously, how many leads are you getting per day? I talk to a lot of agencies, even multi-million dollar agencies. Their number of leads per day, averaged out over a 30-day month, is about 1 a day, maybe even 0.5 a day, 0.3 a day. That's terrible. If you have such low lead volume, you're going to always struggle because you're going to feel pressured to take on clients that you shouldn't take on. That if you take them on, you're going to end up having a ton of stress. You're going to go way over budget. So you have to look at, well, how many leads do I need to achieve my target customer number? If you're going after 10 clients, then you need about 20 to 30 qualified leads, like people who have the money they have the desire, they have an interest in working with you. They've got all the magical pieces needed for you to want to work with them. You need to have about 20 to 30 of those because you're going to close 50%, maybe down to a third. You're going to close most of them as clients. Even though you'll close most of them as clients, they're not going to close today. So they might not close for a month, 2 months, 3 months. So that means you have to have more of those qualified leads per month than is actually going to become a client. So if you're getting 30 qualified leads this month, but you're probably not going to close any of them if you're just getting started. So you got these 30 qualified leads, but they're just not going to close this month. They might close next month, but they're not going to close this month. So that means you might have to go after 40 or 50 qualified leads in this month because you're just getting going, you're just moving, you're just trying to fill that pipeline. And this doesn't matter if you're brand spanking new or if you've been in business for quite a few years. You need to fill that pipeline. You need to get a bunch more in than you could possibly handle. Because say, what if you get 30 of those leads and 50% of them decide to be clients? 15 clients in this very month, and it's like, oh crap, how do we actually service that? Well, that's a good problem to have in the client acquisition issue. So what we do is we overstuff our pipeline in the beginning. We go after more leads than we possibly can handle. And then what we do is we schedule people out. So if they decide to become a client, we get 15 for some crazy reason, we get 15 right now. Then what we do is we schedule out when we're going to go live with them. When are we going to onboard them? We schedule it out so that we can deliver a great service for them. Then with our overstuffed pipeline, what we're going to have to do is start pushing leads on into the future. We're actually going to end up wasting leads because if you know anything about sales, then you know that if you don't follow up with a lead, you don't get them on the phone, you don't get them engaging with you really quickly, then they get cold very fast. You're probably going to waste some advertising and marketing dollars on getting leads that you're not going to follow up with. But this is really important to overcome the scarcity mentality. You need to have this overstuffed pipeline right in the beginning. You need to stuff it full to the point where you can't handle it and then taper it off. Because one of the big problems that I see is, do you taper your leads before you get them, before you fill up your pipeline? Oh, I can only handle 2 clients a month, so I'm only going to go after 4 leads. I'm only going to go after 4 qualified leads because maybe 50% of them will close. But that's a terrible method to building a business. That's one of the reasons why you might have a client acquisition problem, is that you don't stuff the pipeline with more than you can possibly handle. Taper later. Taper when you're in a position where you can say, no, I'm not going to take you as a client. No, you're not a fit for me. Being in that position to be able to say no to a client is what you're after. It's the law of supply and demand. If you have more supply than there is demand, you don't make very much money. But if you have limited supply because you have massive demand, because you have created that demand, and it's all within your power. So you create this demand and have those people coming to you, and then you go, yes, yes, no, no, yes, no, no, yes. And that is a powerful position to be in. That builds authority, something I've talked about in my other videos, because people now go, oh, no, 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 don't say no to me. Don't say no to me. People hate it when you take away the sale. If they feel that they need to work with you and you say no, then they'll start jumping through hoops to become an ideal client for you. This is what a full pipeline, no, an overfull pipeline will do for you. Now we go a little deeper. We know how many leads we need to overstuff the pipeline, to overfill it. We know how many that is. Well, now the next step is, well, how do we get all those leads? This is the part where people just aren't doing the work. If you go onto the internet and you do a Google search for how to get a customer, how to get a client, there are billions of results. And they're all right. They're all the right thing to do. It's free. Free blog posts, free articles, free white papers, free reports, free lead magnets, right? It's out there. How to get a client, how to get a customer, it's there. The reason you're not following those instructions that you've already gotten, I know you've already gotten them, you've already done this Google search. You're just not putting in the work. People need to know who you are to be able to become a lead. If they're unaware that you even exist, then that's the big problem. If you're not getting enough leads, that means people don't know who you are. See, it's not a sales problem at that point. It's a awareness problem. Does the market even know you exist? And I'm pretty sure they don't. You're not doing enough advertising. You're not hitting them on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Google AdWords. You're not doing enough to ship marketing to get it in front of your target audience. You're just not doing it. Do you have a podcast? Do you have a YouTube channel? Do you put content on LinkedIn? Are you blogging? Do you have these things going? If you don't, you're not doing enough work. You look at the stuff that I'm doing at the time of this recording. I'm not doing enough work. I'm doing these videos, so I'm putting stuff on YouTube, I'm putting stuff on LinkedIn, and that's about it. I'm not doing a lot on Facebook. I put a little bit on Facebook, and I put a little bit on Instagram, but I'm not doing enough work. I've got these free platforms sitting out there that my target audience is on, and I'm just not putting in the effort. So I can't complain about not having enough leads because I'm not doing the work necessary to generate them. So take a real hard look at what you're doing. How hard are you hitting your marketing? Are you shipping content daily? Are you running ads daily? Are you creating lead magnets that people can download? Are you getting on the phone and talking to people cold? Are you sending cold emails? Are you sending cold connection requests on LinkedIn? If you're not doing those things, well, there is your problem. You don't have a client acquisition problem. You got a marketing problem. That's the end of this rant. Hopefully you found it useful. This is what I do for my clients, but they are on the other side of this, and I can actually go deeper into their problems, because as soon as we find something that is the issue, well, then we go even deeper with it, and then we come up with a solution, a strategy, and then what tactics we're actually going to do, and a schedule that we're going to commit to. Because if you don't commit to a schedule of producing content, producing marketing, producing advertising, and following up with leads, engaging with your leads, if you don't commit to these procedures, well, then you're always going to have a client acquisition problem. All right, so don't have a like problem. Like that button, subscribe, share, comment below, ask me questions. More than happy to help you. And do all the socials, and I'll see you in the next video.